These were my predictions in September 2019.
As I said, we're hearing all about that, but if we look at a whole chart, how is it going to play out? We can read it as a chart here. So the conjunction is going to happen at this particular time. What's going to happen in the world? Let's see. Well, Cancer's ruling, so something obviously is going to happen regarding homeland, feeling safe within one's home. The North Node right on top of it there. That's opposing Jupiter there, actually, so that will make it an even bigger feeling of needing to feel safe around home. Now, in this case, if we're using it as like a mundane nationality type of chart, this is a growth in government restriction to me in regard to other people. So if all this was in the first house, I would be like, oh no, you know, the government's just in it for themselves, it's just going to get worse. This to me seems like perhaps it's not just about themselves, but the people might matter. The fourth house cusp is Virgo, ruled by Mercury, which is right up there conjunct Pluto and Saturn. So there we go, the end of the matter of that conjunction, ruled by Mercury, is that there'll be some thought going into what's going on at that time with other countries, aside from our own countries.
Hello everybody, and I don't care that my microphone's near my mouth because nobody can hear me. Before I was like, oh, I look like a reporter, but now obviously people find it hard to hear me. I don't know whether it's because I have an AM, blah blah, letter type of voice that makes noises. But anyway, how are you? I myself was having just a little meltdown today because the overwhelming lack of control that everyone would be feeling, but that specifically I was feeling, actually made me cry. And I did my usual, shout at people on Facebook, tell everyone who's wrong, what's right. But then thought, you know what, I need to get really real here. I am the type of person that is transparent. I change with the moon, literally. And I will tell you when I'm also contributing to the fear. Every now and then I keep contributing to the fear, and I don't know why, because I know truly within my heart that this is what is going on at the moment is meant to happen. And I don't mean to sound spiritual and silly or whatever. It is meant to happen. I'm going to go through and show you a couple of clips from videos that I did 6 months ago, or around September of last year, when I wanted to try and get the information out with other astrologers that something was going to happen big this year. And it's in my nature not to spread fear. So I play everything down. Well, I don't play it down. I like to make people feel safe, not scared. So I try and keep my videos at that sort of level as well. I don't want to produce fear. I knew something was going to happen. We all did. And I'm surprised actually now looking back at what was coming out of my mouth when I was looking at the chart for this year, because I can remember now doing it and thinking, oh, I shouldn't have said that. So it's taught me so many things. Firstly, go with your gut instinct immediately. If you press record or you're doing this on YouTube or whatever, and you are honestly like a person that has an interest in this and doesn't just want kudos for knowing the future, which I'm seeing all over the place, because of transparency at the moment, we all have to be very wary with our words. We're coming off like assholes. Anyway, now I lost the point, because when I get stuck on the thought of assholes, I get annoyed. By the by, after going through some of the videos, I realised, matching them up to some of one of the later videos that I did, and the thesis that I did many years ago in regard to what would happen this year and how it is cyclic and has been cyclic for hundreds of years, but I started off about 100 years ago, 120 years ago. As you'll see, I'm going to put that throughout here, and I'm going to just do it easily so everyone can see. This is something else that I've noticed, okay? If you try and if you're an astrologer, a psychic, a medium, a psychologist, whatever, whoever you are in the world, it doesn't even matter. Whoever you are in the world, if you're trying to impart information, people can only retain it if it is there immediately. It's not just millennials, it's everybody. People can't retain information. I now know why my channel hasn't done very well. I try and explain things and teach things, and I'm so glad to do that, and I love my subscribers that are now my friends, that I help and I try and help, because you guys are thinkers. The people that just say things, nasty things, in any type of sense of the word, on to other people, have not, they're going to have a big shock. That's all I can say, and you can see it happening now. I can see things turning around in every aspect of life. I'm so intrigued about the dynamics of the microscopic things that's going on, from the virus to the biggest overall, what the hell is going on the planet, in the universe right now, from the biggest to the smallest. I'm trying to work it all out. So I'm going to do a social experiment. I'm going to show you some videos that I made earlier on that predicted this. I'm going to join the ranks of those psychics and mediums that show people what they predict, because I've now realized that most people have, I don't even know how to say this nicely, and not you guys, I love you guys, but the general people have an attention span of about 10 seconds. So now, not only do I know more about astrology, the world, the government, how people think, and we all know these things. I'm not the only one seeing it. I know you're all seeing it too. Not only that, I can also see now how YouTube works. YouTubers put more time into their craft than actors do. Have you been watching Jimmy Fallon live from home, and all these people at home? They're doing what you're going to see in a minute with my first videos that were vertical, where I would hold my phone like this because I had no idea. Alex Baldwin does an interview like this, and he's shaking, whatever. They're human. We're seeing the human side of people. YouTubers are actually smarter, not me, the YouTubers that have made a lot of money, and so I'm just talking not about astrology now, just in general about YouTube. How smart are those people? They've gotten into your hearts. Like, this is another social experiment. Go and watch your favourite YouTuber, and then watch Jimmy Fallon, his latest show at home, interviewing Alec Baldwin, and then tell me what you reckon, because I laughed so fucking hard. It was just not funny. Jimmy Fallon was like, it was worse than this. Mine's bad, but I don't care. he's cornered into this room because he's isolated at home, you know. So he's cornered into this room and his kids are running amok, and he's trying to do mean tweets or whatever, or talk about COVID and whatnot, but nobody's laughing because there's no audience. So it's like, ooh, just stop. And it made me cringe, but then it made me laugh, and I just saw the human side of Jimmy Fallon and Alec Baldwin, the people that you only ever see on TV and think that they're not real and whatever, you know. I'm just finding this unbelievable, the things that we can actually see at this time. It's scary as fuck for a lot of us because we don't know what's going on. But how amazing is the irony that you must be seeing that is life at the moment. People that never used to have jobs before can now go to work because they're needed. People that had tons of money and work before are getting laid off and can't work. It's a literal flipping of the entire of society. I don't claim to have the end result. I certainly don't claim to have known that this was going to be a virus. No, I did not know that. But I think I'm getting a gist of what's going on. So if there's any social commentary that means shit to anyone, I'm hoping that maybe this is good therapy for me and you, and we'll learn a whole lot about what's going on. In the meantime, astrologically, I'm not going to talk all planets and everything. I'm going to speak as basic as I can. You don't need to be an astrologer to listen to what I'm going to say. We're talking about cycles in time. These are the few things that I'm going to go over. But I'm going to literally show you predictions. So, money, and then you'll see my money prediction. You know, the financial progression of what will happen in 2020. Then the heading will be the monarchy, and you'll see my predictions for that. I'm going to literally go through my predictions and name them and everything and timestamp them. You can see them. Then we're going to go back to the last chart that I did when I charted when this virus came out, which weirdly does a full circle and coincides with the 2 videos that I did back in September of 2019. And we'll see the pattern. And I believe that it'll give you hope as well. So anyway, I'll stop rambling. Have a look at my shirt. I love t-shirts. I'm a t-shirt person. I love sharks, and Shark Week just rules. Great White Shark. Official Shark Week t-shirt. Great White Sharks. Better than astrology. No, not really. On par. Probably going to grow feet now and walk out on the earth. That wouldn't fucking surprise me. Alright. Stay tuned. I hope you haven't left. It's like 12 minutes. Oh my god, you've probably gone already. Just watch. I'll talk to you again soon.
Every time I look for a video on YouTube or an article, I see Pluto and Saturn 2020 or 2019, 2020. And I don't see anything about the cyclic pattern of Saturn and Pluto throughout history. And that's where I come in and where my thesis on astrology when I was a student, that's what that was based on. So I wanted to have a little chat about the cycles between Pluto and Saturn. And they occur every so often, every 20 to 33 years or so. Saturn and Pluto aspect each other in either conjunction, square, or opposition. And at these points, throughout time, it's triggered off or coincided with really huge events throughout history. So I'll go back to 1914. World War I was going on. Saturn was conjunct Pluto. in 1922, we had mass economic inflation. Things got better. Saturn was squaring Pluto. I won't go into the signs and everything. Well, I will at the end. In 31, Saturn was opposing Pluto, and they were in Cancer and Capricorn, actually, so that's interesting to note. And that was the Great Depression. 1940, just during World War II, Saturn square Pluto. There's a pattern. 55 to 56, Saturn was conjunct Pluto, and the Cold War occurred. The next cycle to come about was in round about 1982, and that brought about a rise in terrorism. There was suicide bombings and war in the Falklands. Then that goes to 2001, where in August, Saturn and Pluto were opposite each other in Gemini and Sagittarius, respectively, at 9/11. So, one would be easily led to believe that the Saturn and Pluto conjunction in Capricorn in 2020 is going to be something really big. It makes sense. But what I'm seeing is, from the last cycle of Capricorn and Cancer, when they were in opposition, there was a Great Depression. Now they're both in Capricorn. There's none of that Cancer there. They're both very strong. I believe that there's going to be economic stability. It's not a selfish time, so it's actually going to be a better time. Uranus had gone, by that time will have gone retrograde, nearly back to zero of Taurus again, unbelievably. So the fact that it's at the beginning of Taurus there, that's really important. It's especially important because it's a really big transit that we've had recently. As I've said in the last one, it was hovering around 29 degrees of Aries, and it was very hard to make decisions, and sudden unexpected events were occurring. But coincided with this here, Taurus there is actually the ruler of finances and money. And if we go to the second house, which is the ruler of finances and money as well, we've got Cancer there. So there's like money being poured into the home. And that, to me, it looks like an American chart, to be honest, but I think we could stretch it to the rest of the world. I mean, there's no reason we can't. Idea that perhaps the monarchy might change, that maybe this masculine energy here, this Mars, just a few things are showing me that perhaps the dynamics of the Commonwealth might change. Maybe there'll be a king at this time, which is going to really radically change things.
So now I've got your attention. Don't move to far north Queensland, ever, unless you want ants in your coffee. Okay, so now that you've seen that I've done a whole 180 on my integrity and shown you my predictions, when initially I said, oh, it annoys me when people show me their predictions. I just felt it was necessarily, I thought it was necessary to do so because I want to now show you further ahead, and I truly hope that this, seeing what you've seen, if you've watched so far, will make you feel a little better. I've got more faith in my own readings from all this. Not that I didn't have it, I've always had it. I've not being a bad astrologer or anything. Oh, and to the beautiful people that are writing to me saying, don't be hard on yourself. I'm not being hard on myself. I'm just critiquing myself. I find it really important to be transparent. That's just how I am. And if I don't critique myself in front of you as well as show what I think I can do, then what sort of person am I? So thank you so much for your concern. I'm not in a bad place, and I don't not believe in myself or what I do. I think it's more a feeling of a little bit of desperation in here to get out what I feel is important for people to know, that it's going to be okay. I know it feels like so bad, but it will be okay. And I'm going to show you that now by looking at some future charts, because everyone in the world's looked at charts up till 2020, but no one seems to look beyond it and see what's going on. So let's have a look for April, May, June, July, a couple of months ahead. We'll just skip through quickly. I'm not going to talk astrology as in this is in the 7th house, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to lay it out as openly as I can for everybody to understand. So keep watching and let's see whether what I say next actually does happen, which I think it will, so everyone's going to be okay. Okay, 2nd house cusp is in Sagittarius. That doesn't look, this is right now. It's not going to be worldwide, and it's only going to last like this for another 4 minutes. So let's not worry about the houses too much. Let's look at these planets. Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to go with my gut. My gut is telling me right now that we are going to have a huge injection of money in every sector, including our homes. It'll occur more and more daily. America itself, and I know a lot about America, as you know, because Americans are my general audience and my beautiful friends. America, I feel, are going to be given a stimulus package that is going to make people feel safer. So that's one thing. And the reason why I have to say it is because this is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is related to Jupiter, and Jupiter is foreign countries. And I always see Jupiter in my head when I read charts as being America, although it's other countries as well. America, Canada, you're all going to get an injection of money into the home. The fear is going to start heightening more, but it's purely fear, okay? It's not what is truly reflecting of what is happening in every single person's life. It is the fear. So remember that. It's an overall fear. It's not an overall death situation. It's not an overall this is the end of the world situation. It's just we're being bombarded by fear for a reason. And the reason is to make us change, to make us realize what's important and what's not. Regardless, right now from this chart, what I see is money will be injected into America, Canada, I think all over the place. Money's going to start coming from places that you never knew it existed. And the economy will not collapse. Yes, millions of people are losing their jobs and will lose their jobs. And yes, a lot of people are going to succumb to this virus if they don't quarantine themselves or do the right things, or have unfortunately been exposed to it. But from this point onwards, if you're safe and you're healthy, it's going to be okay. Money is going to be okay. You're going to be able to afford to live. The government is not going to let us down at this point. Now, I've had an overall feeling of transparency and government for so many years that I couldn't quite put together, and it makes so much sense now. We are being transparent. That it's not time for conspiracy theories. It's not time for any blaming which president did what and which president didn't do. Everybody in our lifetime now has never been through anything like this before. The Prime Minister of Australia, he's never been through this before. Donald Trump, he's never been through this before. Nobody in Cabinet, nobody in Parliament, nobody in Minister, nobody alive, really, maybe a couple of people, have been through this before. So I believe we should reserve our judgment on how this is going to end up until we see what the government comes forward and does. And I wholly believe that they are going to pull together and help us out. Okay, so instead of putting a chart up and making people feel as though I'm talking about astrology purely and not understanding, I thought I'm just going to tell you what I think is going to happen. Okay, so Saturn has entered into Aquarius, as I said. So fear is sort of kicked up a little notch because Aquarius is just a little bit of a higher realm than Capricorn. But what's going to happen is, and is happening, is it's forming a square, so a difficult aspect, which is, or I find call a challenging aspect is better, between the fear and, for the astrologers, Uranus in Taurus, which is money. So I believe that although Saturn and Uranus won't actually complete the square this whole year, the trigger point of that, which will be from now onwards for a short while, will be the influx of money into this situation that we're going through. So on May the 10th at 2 degrees of Aquarius, Saturn will go retrograde backwards into Capricorn. So it'll go back to the area that we're in now. I know I said I wasn't going to talk astrology. It's so hard not to. But I want to give some timing advice as well. So basically in July, we'll be in the same position in the sky, sort of, as we are now. But that will give us a time to let it sink in about what's happening. Will allow the money to flow into our homes and our businesses and sustain us while this is going on. We will go through a complete restructure of how we understand our boundaries, our everything. We're going to go through such a huge restructuring of life, and that is going to be when things get good. So July, we're going to be given a time, an opportunity to breathe a little and reflect and understand that this is necessary. It's okay. We can't be maintained, and we can't maintain our attachment to the status quo that we've always known. So hopefully it will become apparent by then. At the moment, the fear is just too much, so people can't quite figure out what's what, especially figuring out boundaries and things. It's also very hard. And boundaries, in a sense that, not only do we need our own boundaries in life, now we literally need boundaries from other people as well. So we will begin to understand that more and more through the next coming months until July, when Saturn, again, as I said, goes back to this spot. Now, there's a couple of other things that are going to occur in the meantime, but basically by September, all of this is going to come to some sort of culmination to show us the effect of how we have reacted and acted now. So we're not all going to be dead in November or September or November or July, or just, we're not all going to die. We are all going to go through a complete transformation of all of our values and how we understand life as we know it. And that's what we need. And on top of that, Earth is going through its change that it needs as well. So this is a purging that everyone needs. We don't need people to die from a virus, of course. That's a terrible, terrible thing. And I'm not making light of that. But I can't feed into the fear of that either. So just keep safe, take it seriously, and do all the things that you, bloody green ants, that you have to do to keep safe. Stay at home. It's the best thing you can do. It's what the charts told us before. It was right there, at home. And the money will come into our home, so we don't have to fear. So there's some confirmation from Smudge herself. I apologise. Smudge! Okay, so December the 17th, Saturn will go back into Aquarius and then move on away from all of this. Jupiter, which is a good planet, a beneficial planet, gives us things, is following it all the way along. It's there to help with all of this. What we need to do at this point in time, and this goes against the grain of what most people think, but what we need to do is trust. Trust that our government doesn't want us to die of some virus. It doesn't. Trust that the economy will work again. It will, and I'll put more charts up with more dates to show that this along the way. Know that you will get help with money. People are going to find it hard, but knowing and seeing the changes that are going along with everything, surely you can see, as I can see, that at the end of it, there seems to be something unattainable that we're not sure of, but quite wonderful. Now, of course, like I said before, the people that have lost family members to this virus, I'm not taking this at all lightly. It's a terrible thing that's happened. But to the people that are scared that they are going to just get it, just because, I implore you not to be scared, but just to be safe. Remove the fear and replace it with boundaries. Understand that the Earth does this all of the time. Earth needed to repair. If you guys saw the amount of insect bites that I got doing these videos out here, because I can't do it inside, there's no room, I have to do it outside. If you saw the amount of bites that I got, you'd probably subscribe just for the fact that I sit out here. I'm surrounded by spiders and everything. Anyway, okay, I took the dogs inside. So my point is, throughout the next few months, we're going to have some squares from Mars, which is an acute planet. It's in a planet that a planet that triggers off things, and that's going to be making an aspect, which means it'll be 90 degrees away from Saturn, just in the sky, literally 90 degrees angle. That's what aspects are, if you don't know. So Mars will be doing that. We'll be having some Jupiter conjunctions with Saturn and Pluto that are doing a bit of a dance with each other over the next few months. So we're going to have some trigger events that are not going to be, okay, I'm not going to say they're going to be great or bad or anything, but they will be trigger events. So we have like May the 12th, December the 17th, November the 20th, I believe, is another one. There's a few different dates where things may occur, but it will help to resolve this problem, in my opinion. I'm not God. I don't know. I'm not Earth, I don't truly know. But in my opinion, and from my experience with cycles and with astrology and with what I do, I truly believe that we are going to understand the world more than we ever have before. We're going to be thankful that we have a government that actually does take action, albeit sometimes too late or not when we want them to do it. We have to think rationally, and that's another thing about this whole thing. It's easy to get angry and scream, why can't I get my money now? And why did you wait so long to quarantine? And why did you do this? And why did you do that? I truly don't believe it was intentional. I don't believe anybody knew what to do. So it's a whole human race problem, really, this one. But as in all the years before, as I mentioned in my cycles section, it'll carry on. Life doesn't end just like that. So we will go through hard times, and then we will go through better times. That's what you need to look forward to. The end of this, what you've learnt from it, the boundaries you've put up in place in your own life, everything that you've observed that's flipped on its head, and I can guarantee you that you have probably said how ironic about 50 times in the last couple of months. It feels like life is a surreal irony of Neptunism, which is that odd paradox to me of it being so Capricornian, so earth-based, but also so ethereal. It's the blending of the two. It's finally, we're coming together as one. We truly are coming together as one. It's the interconnectedness that every hippie, every person, every astrologer, every psychic, every human underlyingly knew deep down subconsciously, 12th house for astrologers, that connectedness was what we needed. The earth just needed a little break for us to connect as well. The earth needed to fix, we needed to connect. Ants love crawling on me, that's no doubt about that. We needed to connect by isolating, of all things, and we are. We are now all at the same level. So it doesn't matter who you are, if you've lost your job, if you're rich or poor, you're anybody in between. We are now all at the same level of connectedness. And that, to me, shows me that the universe has a plan and that it's mapped out in an astrology chart. Simply, as simple as that. And all an astrology chart is like a huge mathematical book that goes on forever and ever and ever and ever about the cycles of life. So understand astrology, you'll understand the cycles, you'll understand why we go through the things we do. Fear doesn't get you to the core, and if it does, it only lasts a little while and it goes away. Today I could have given up all of this and gone to lay down in my bed and just gone. And then literally within about an hour of feeling like that, I was like, snap out of it. Go make a video, show everybody that you actually know what you're talking about. Don't be scared. I mean, you guys, don't be scared. And me, don't be scared. You know, that's crazy. Why am I feeling scared? Well, makes sense. We're all scared. But something in me just went, pick yourself up, make a video, show everybody that this is pretty much quite a normal thing that happens in life, but point out that there's lessons to be learned. We are learning them transparently, quickly, maybe a little bit too rapidly. It's a bit too much for some people. But as I said, practice those things that I said before. Limit the fear. Try and understand that this is cyclic. Understand that this is about setting up boundaries for us and for Mother Earth. And the benefit overall will be great. I love you guys. You take care.